Welcome to the full moon in Virgo ritual, which waxed at 2:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Before we call the quarters, let us prepare our spirits by performing a balancing ritual as Kabbalists do before any great work. So let us close our eyes and imagine a brilliant white light glistening above our crown chakra. Now raise your hand and envision yourself taking hold of that light and taking a piece of it into your hand. As you lower your hand, touch your forehead and say, At thou art. Then see the light following your hand to your heart. As you touch your heart, say Malchut. Point your finger to the ground, seeing the light going into the earth. Then raise your hand to your right shoulder, and as you touch it, say Vagavura. Then touch the left shoulder, seeing the light travel from the right to the left. And as you touch the left shoulder, say Vagadola. Outstretch both arms and say La'olam. Lower your hands, saying Amen, it is so. Now we can say that our sacred space has been cleansed. All that have gathered have prepared themselves for this celebration. Let us unite ourselves in love, clearing our hearts and minds for the good work ahead. Before we continue along our path, as is tradition, let us invite the guardians of the watchtowers, gods and goddesses, to lend us our energies and to guard our sacred circle. All hail to the watchtower of the East, the element of air, spirit and intuition, intellect and sense of reason, the very breath of life. We ask you to join us in our ritual, lending us your powers of discernment for the good work ahead. Guard our sacred circle set outside of time and charge it by your power. We bid hail and welcome to East and Air. All hail to the watchtower of the South, the element of fire, creative energy and will, burning flames of desire. We ask you to join us in our ritual, lending us your powers of vitality and drive for the good work ahead. Guard our circle set outside of time and charge it by your power, helping us to move forward. We bid hail and welcome to South and Fire. All hail to the watchtower of the West, the element of water, power of dreams and emotion, the power to dare, that which washes us of negativity, teaches us love. We ask you to join us in our ritual, lending us the power for love for the good work ahead. Guard our sacred circle set outside of time and charge it by your power. We bid hail and welcome to West and Water. All hail to the watchtower of the North, the element of earth, the power of Mother and Earth, the power of silence and manifestation, that which we create with our thoughts. We ask you to join us in our ritual, lending us your powers of stability and grounding for the good work ahead. Guard our circle set outside of time and charge it by your power. We bid hail and welcome to North and Earth. To the ancients, older versions of ourselves, divine mystery, we ask that you bring together that which is true to our respective paths, helping us to heal the past that has carried negative karma. Spirits above, spirit below, and guardian power within that connects us all. We call at you to be at your strongest with us and to lend us your guidance. We look above to seal the height with Yud He Vav. We look below to seal the deep with Yud Vav He. We look forward to seal the east with He Yud Vav. We look to the right and seal the south with Vav Yud He. We look to the left to seal the north with He Vav and Yud. These are the ineffable existences, the spirit of living God, air, water, fire, height, depth, east, west, north, and south. Let all who came not in response to our call, we acknowledge your presence, wishing you well, and ask that you depart now in peace. Let all who have entered the circle be here in perfect love and perfect trust. The circle is cast. Welcome to the full moon in Virgo ritual. The full moon waxed this morning at 2:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The moon representing our emotional nature, the inner being, including our dreams, desires, needs, the female archetype, and the nurturer, in the sign of Virgo, which is feminine, mutable earth. Mutable signs are communicators and they are adaptable to their environment. And earth signs are no BS kind of people. Show me the money and I'll believe it when I see it. The sign of Virgo gives our emotional moon, uh, and therefore our emotional nature's balance, and helps even out those rough edges of our emotional sides. Ruled by the planet Mercury, the ancient god of communication and commerce, Virgo offers intelligence and reason, the ability to figure things out just by being observant, watching, and listening to how others communicate. Virgo offers concern about the welfare of others without being too emotional, careful, and competent. In light of things going on in the world, it's easy to look at the situation like the war in Ukraine, the 2-year old found dead in the hotel, etc., and get upset. But the Virgo moon offers us perspective and reason, helping us to know the light at the end of the tunnel is there, even though we may not see it yet. With ninth house energies, the Virgo moon highlights our spiritual philosophy and our higher intellect so we can use our higher senses to gain some understanding and see things as they are, that nothing is as it seems. We remember reports of testing of various nuclear power plants or missile sites, and several UFOs were observed in and around the area, and one by one, the power to them all was shut down, literally adding new meaning to Big Brother is watching. Aspecting this full moon is the opposition with the Sun, Jupiter, and Neptune, and the trine with Pluto. Our ascendant sign is in Sagittarius, and our north node is in the sign of Taurus. The opposition occurs when planets are opposite each other on the chart. The Sun, Jupiter, and Neptune, all of which sit in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is another one of our spiritual signs and is feminine, also mutable, but its element is water. By contrast to the earth sign, the grounded, no nonsense Virgo, water signs are emotion and instinct. Water signs just know things. Water is electromagnetic, and the water signs have the ability to absorb information like sponges. The Sun in Pisces is future oriented. Jupiter in Pisces is the humanitarian and self sacrificing, while Neptune, who is at home in Pisces, is all about spirituality and idealism. The Sun represents our outer being, our conscious willpower, which, when highly developed, is the driving force behind our creative power. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and abundance. Even though these three are opposite the moon, and the tug of war seems to be a natural occurrence with the opposition, these four planets, if they transit your natal chart just so, they can become like the four winds acting in your favor. The trine with Pluto in Capricorn gives us tremendous practical sense. With second house energies, we can use that practicality in our business relationships, again, not letting negative emotions rule our decision making process. Today in the Hebrew is the 17th of the month of Adar, 2, following the festival of Purim. The Torah portion for the day speaks of preparation of a particular sacrifice. Each specific holiday had specific rules for its preparation, and the procedure was different when the temple was standing than it was during the times the temple was not there. We perform sacrifices in our normal daily lives, not to the degree that they were done in biblical stories, but Every time you put the needs of your child or a friend above your own, you eat ramen for a week or a month so that you can provide assistance to someone else, etc. But when does it become a hindrance to the person you're trying to help? Do they then expect you to always bail them out? There's a difference between caring about the needs of another person and being codependent or a crutch for them. And please note, these examples are only offered to expound on the energies. Do not take them to mean one thing or another with respect to our opinion or lack thereof. During President Zelensky's speech yesterday, he played a video that showed the hardships of the Ukraine people during this horrific time in their country. But it reminded me of the commercials we see for the ASPCA. Very emotional and geared to be that way. If the outcry from the American people is loud enough, just as it was on 9/11, and don't get me started down that rabbit hole, we will get behind our government doing just about anything to help. But are we really ready to do that? Let's think this out logically and remember who we're dealing with. I think the rule is never engage crazy. There is strength in sitting back and observing, thinking things out clearly without letting our emotions get in the way. Taking time to really see with more than our natural eye, using our inner spirit to look beyond what we see and hear in the natural. Yes, I feel for the people in the UK, but I'm also reminded that people in Israel and Arab states have been living like this for decades. And this is another one of those areas where our emotions can get away from us. We see the conditions that the people are trying to escape, and we can imagine the kind of things that they need. What they don't need, however, is our engaging and arguing back and forth about what we should or should not do on their behalf to the point where we have civil unrest here, as is often the case when our country becomes divided over issues. What would not be helpful to anyone would be to allow this to escalate to the next world war between superpowers. In biblical times, the purpose of the sacrifice was supposed to get back into right standing with God, just in case you became disconnected somehow by something that you had done or neglected to do. In our present day, sacrifice could be something we ourselves give up in order to help those in need. It doesn't do people any good to fight their battles for them, but in the case with children, spouses, siblings, sometimes just a good ear and a little compassion and understanding go a long way. In the case of this war in the UK, actual goods could help the people who have become displaced, money for living expenses, or donating to whatever group is helping them to obtain housing, etc. If all else fails, sending prayers for peace and strength certainly cannot hurt. Kabbalah teaches that the month of Adar has qualities of all of the other signs, just as the sphere of Malkut carries a certain amount of light from all of the spheres on the tree of life. The winter months are also governed by the last hay in the Tetragrammaton, which symbolizes our world as the vessel that receives and accumulates the spiritual abundance from the higher or upper worlds. Pisces is central column energy flowing directly along from the crown to the hidden sphere of Da'at, Tiferet, Yesod, and Malchut. The month of Adar was created by the letter Kof, which is said to be the only letter which descends into the darkness. The letter Kof symbolically represents, among other things, the eye of the needle, and according to Kabbalah, has to do with the requirement of removing the husk of the superficial to reveal holiness within. So, more of seeing things as they are. In Hebrew, Kof means monkey, a creature which in many ways resembles a human, but on the inside is purely animalistic. He can be trained to mimic human, but in the end, his animal instincts will always prevail. So, another instance of things not quite being as they seem. The cough extends both above and below the line, indicating its ability to descend into the lower world and also the ability to ascend into the higher. So it's reminiscent of being able to see and be in both worlds. LiveKabbalah.org states the purpose of Pisces is connect with our inner need to help our fellow man. We have this discussion a great deal on the church's theme of tithing, which is generally used to support the church and such outreach programs as that congregation may be engaged in. Sometimes it actually supports the pastor. Um, Regardless of your spiritual path, whether helping others is a form of tithing, whether you're giving of financial assistance or even giving of your time to help someone, which goes back to the subject of a personal sacrifice. No, we don't spill the blood of animals to perform religious sacrifices anymore, but we all do perform some type of sacrifice in our life. We just may not recognize it for being that. The letter Kaf represents the 29th path on the Kabbalistic tree of life. Connecting the Sphirot of Malchut with that of Netzach and the moon card in the Toth Tarot. Here we have the Sphirot of Malchut at the bottom of the tree in the red, yellow, russet, and brown. This is the 29th path here, and the Sphira of Netzach here in the green. And this is the moon card from the 12th tarot. From the book Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot, Lon Milo DeCat writes of the moon card, quote, "Let the illusion of the world pass over thee unheeded as thou goest from the midnight to the morning," end quote. Just as a reminder that nothing is as it seems, and this too shall pass. We keep in mind that certain things in our lives are geared to elicit a reaction. The desired reaction of those that wish to keep you from the truth of who you are is to keep you emotional, fearful, if at all possible. Because when your emotions are wild and fiery and you're flying off the handle, anxious and afraid, you're not hearing your inner voice. You're not lending your energy to the scenario, or you are actually lending your energy to the scenario they want you to believe. You're basically a battery, just as Neo and the people were in the movie Matrix. Furthermore, in that heightened emotional state, you're not able to see things as clearly as you could if you sat down, took a breath, and just remained calm and listened to your inner ear. I've been reading Unveiling Isis by Madame Blavatsky, and she discusses the church's creation of Satan, the devil, and all the things that he got blamed for. And even today, 145 years after that book was first published, we ourselves take our part in assisting their creation, either because we're passive and complacent, turning a blind eye toward what we see and never speak the truth about, or because our emotions help us become part of the problem. Think back to the hysteria that was caused during the Salem witch trials when one false accusation leads to 19 people being hung and 5 others wrongfully jailed. Or the Inquisition, how the egos of men who thought themselves the defenders of the faith became murderers and torturers of innocent people, and the devil got blamed for all of it. You think that, oh, today that could never happen, right? Or could it? How quick are we to jump on the next popular bandwagon of cancel culture, which sometimes goes way beyond stop following someone? There are seriously sicky trolls on the internet hiding behind their computer monitors, just lurking and watching for the next thing to get overly sensitive about, so they can go out and commit Harry Carey. But they're not responsible, right? Because the devil made them do it. Is that the world of the peaceful Piscean? Pisces is receptive and intuitive, and utilizing this energy, We can see through this illusion. Fear is an encompassing emotion. You can't see anything else. Once you've convinced yourself that the negative report is reality, you've created it and you're doomed to suffer through it unless you change your perception. I believe at their core, most people are caring, loving people. But I also see that we are always have a character that becomes the lying spirit of deceit. Whole sole purpose in life is to create havoc and discord, and it's not for the purpose of war and killing people. That's simply the result of the negativity this spirit is able to elicit. It's the havoc, the confusion, the terror, and the feeling of utter hopelessness in the people. Putin is not the only one. There will be more in the future. There have been many in the past. Someone predicted 2023 to 24 that we would return to a world of peace and abundance. Lon Milo DeCat also wrote in Understanding Aleister Crowley's Twelfth Tarot, quote, the moonlight of Atu, I think this is 18, is that which illuminates the phantasmagoric nightmares of all of us who cannot acknowledge the dark horrors of our own fears. It's our fears that create our negative reality. The sphere of Nitzach is related to the planet Venus in your chart and governs pleasure and generates the mechanism of repetition and reproduction, like seeing the same number of sequences in your life that give you a certain sense of something, or that you link or connect with a particular event in your life. It will also give you the same things for you to suffer over and over again until we learn how to handle those situations properly or to believe better for ourselves. The sphere of Malchut is related to your ascendant sign, and it is the path you chose to walk in this lifetime and encompasses your entire physical creation. Each sphere embodies one particular aspect of God during the act of creation, and by virtue of you being a physical manifestation of that essence, the act of creation continues with you. One might say here to govern yourself accordingly. For the sphere of Malchut, the divine Hebrew name is Adonai Melech. The colors are shadowed natural hues. For the sphere of Netzach, the divine Hebrew name is Yehovah Sabaoth. The color is green. The 29th path is known as the corporeal intelligence because it forms every body which is formed beneath the whole set of worlds and the increment of them. The symbols for the 29th path are the magic mirror, the doe, the crayfish, the beetle. The color is crimson. Living beings include the dog. This is one of my favorite pictures of my dogs, as they were when they were both puppies. Zeus, the boy here, was only a year old, and the puppy, Xena, was only just 2 months old. He has since passed away this year, but I know in my heart that he is still with us. Mythological correspondences include the goddesses of both the underworld and the overworld, and Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt, and her child Diana. I have invited Artemis, here shown in this picture, to join us in our ritual circle. Areas that the 29th path can help you include understanding reincarnation and that life does not end but only changes form, the ability to perceive cycles, healing family disputes, further stimulation of the third eye, increasing creativity, self healing, contact with your spirit guides. In his book, Scrying the Tree of Life, Chick Cicero wrote of the 29th path, A corporeal intelligence denotes that the 29th path is concerned with body consciousness and reproduction. The Hebrew letter Kof means back of the head, and it is especially associated with those organs that control automatic motor functions and other involuntary or subconscious body functions. Kof also suggests sleep, another reference to the subconscious mirrored. There is a clear sexual connotation there as well, for the passage indicates that this path plays a major role in the procreation of every body. The 29th path runs between Netzach, which is the seat of emotions, and Malchut, the sphere of the body, whose life functions are controlled by motor impulses. Thus, this path embodies the intuitive faculties that are a byproduct of the unconscious. As a byproduct of the unconscious, emotions become part of what you unconsciously create because it becomes the basis for what you believe about yourself that you may not even know you're doing, which could throw a monkey wrench in anything positive you attempt unless you get it at the root of that emotion. The path symbol is the symbol of Pisces. And this is the symbol of Pisces, which will be used for the path if you choose to undertake the guided meditation. And that is all for our correspondences for this full moon in Virgo ritual for 2022. You may find all of the information referenced on our blog at wixsite.com/Marika Moon Rituals. And we can release the quarters. I hope that you enjoy a wonderful full moon in Virgo and enjoy a happy and safe weekend. So we bid farewell to the guardians of North, Earth, West, Water, South, Fire, East, and Air. We thank you for joining in our celebration, and we trust in you to carry forth our wishes and intentions to begin the process of manifestation according to our will and the love that binds us all. Go if you will, stay if you must. May there be peace between us, now and forever, to all beings in all directions. In love and trust, the circle is now open, but always unbroken. Thank you for being with us again, and good night.